Let's examine the word strength as it relates to back health, lack of pain, and that kind of thing. Would it surprise you if I said the scientific literature really doesn't show a strong link between having a stronger back and having less back pain and injury and missing work and that kind of thing? In fact, a lot of people, as you personally just described, hurt their back in the effort to gain strength. Why is all of this? If we separate strength from endurance, the ability to contract and use your muscles for a longer period of time without fatiguing, endurance is much more linked to having a so-called healthier back, less back pain, more resilience against things like days off work because of back pain. And this was all started mostly in Europe and Denmark quite a number of years ago. But our research has supported this very strongly. I'll give a piece of scientific evidence on that. We took a group of men who were chroming car bumpers for Chrysler Corporation, and these things weighed almost 50 kilos or 44 kilos, something like that. So fairly heavy, and these men lifted the bumpers throughout the day. Out of the 70 some odd men that did the job, so the exposure was somewhat controlled and the same among the workers, 24 or something like that had every year a week here and there where they missed work. They were disabled because of back pain. The rest of the year they worked through it. All the other workers never had disabling back injury. We spent about half a day assessing every single one of those workers. It was a very expensive study to conduct. We measured strength, endurance, spine range of motion, hip range of motion, how they moved when they lifted objects, how they activated their muscles. We used instrumentation to measure that. Do you think it was the stronger or the weaker workers who had disabling back injury every year?
Well, I'm going to guess it's the stronger workers.
Correct. When we assessed the mechanism, the ones who had stronger backs and more injuries used their backs when they lifted. They would bend over and pull the bumpers with their back, typically. So they were stronger. The ones who avoided back injury were weaker when we tested them, but more endurable. They would lift with their hips and their legs, and they didn't break form. In other words, all started lifting with good form at the end of the work shift. But the ones who didn't have endurance broke form and started to lift with their backs more and their hips and legs less. So posture and movement form really mattered, but several morals of the story came out of that. I'm not advocating to be weak. I'm not at all. We've worked with some of the strongest men and women of the world. But for those who do repetitive work, the key to avoiding injury is to have a foundation of endurance so that you don't break form, and that good form supports the strength.